All right, let's take some notes on solving a quadratic equation with square roots. So a quick note about square roots, remembering that if we have the square root of x squared, it actually involves a range of numbers. What I mean by that is it's going to be negative x and x. Remember, if we do like that kind of squiggly line, it's a set of numbers, not coordinates. And I think the easiest way to show that example is with the square root of 25. So 5 times 5 equals 25. I think we're really confident with that. However, negative 5 times negative 5 also equals 25. So the square root of 25 technically has two possible solutions. So negative 5 and 5, which is why we have this set here. So let's keep this in mind as we're moving forward. So when we're solving quadratics by square roots, there's a specific time we need to use it, and that's when there's no middle x term. So our problem looks like this. Ax squared plus c equals 0. And so we're missing that bx value in our standard form. If we're missing that, if that just doesn't exist, then we can use the solving by square roots method. So let's look at this. If you it looks familiar to you, it would be looking like our difference of squares from earlier in this trimester. So our procedure is to isolate the x squared and take the square root of both sides of the equation. I think the easiest way is going to be looking at some examples as we go through this. Here, have our stuff on the bottom in case we forget, but we have x squared plus 12 equals 48. I want to isolate this x squared here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides, leaving me with x squared equals 36. At this point, I see a perfect square. That is good news. And we're going to be left with x equals, and remember, we're going to use our set of numbers here, negative 6 and 6. Negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, same thing as 6 times 6. You might also see it written like this, x equals plus or minus 6. These are the solutions I'm looking for when we do this. Another one here, just like we would with any of our multi-step equations and variables, we want to isolate that x squared. We could divide by 4 at first. That's going to leave us a fraction. What I want to do is get the variable by itself as quick as possible. So 4x squared equals 252. Oh, I did that wrong. Hold. Hold, please. There we go. That's better. Plus 2 to both sides. 4x squared is going to equal 256. Divide both sides by 4. X squared equals 64. At this point, we can square root both sides. Remember, that's going to end up with two solutions here, plus or negative 8. Both those, when you multiply them together, equal 64. Last example here, make sure you're taking notes on this one. Negative 3x squared plus 6 equals 33. Let's subtract 6 from both sides. Negative 3x squared equals 27. Divide both sides by negative 3. And we're left with x squared equals negative 9. At this point, I want to square root both sides. Oh, we have reached a problem here. If we are taking the square root of a negative number, there's no real solution. We'll get more into alternate options later, but for now, x has no solution when you see this. This is a special case that you all love so very much. Thanks, y'all.